All right, let's move on. What's next? That's our
That'd be section
section 3, right?
Mm-hmm. Why you started this label.
Why did I start Get Off My Lawn Records? Well, the artist doesn't need a record label anymore.
If the artist knows what they're doing, the artist does not need a record label anymore.
Yeah. We're not really trying to do that. What we're trying to do is be a filter for the audience. Because if I put it out, it's good.
Yeah, Don won't work on.
I don't work on junk. So if I'm putting it out, it means it's worth taking the time to see if it's something you want to purchase. So, and I put everything out in a way where you can check it out completely beforehand. And I work on the advertising and things. The major labels, they will still make you famous, which has all sorts of other benefits, like crowdsourcing. We talked about crowdsourcing on a previous, last week?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. On episode 30, we talked about crowdsourcing and why it's a myth, unless you're already famous. So a major label is perfect if that's your model, because you need 100,000 plus people to know who you are, to be interested in what you're doing, and then crowdsourcing becomes a very viable option for all of your needs. But until then, you're just, sitting on the digital corner with a hat asking for money. It's hard. So what we do, I've been at this now for 20 years. I think I first started doing some recording at about 20 years ago now.
Okay.
Definitely MIDI. I started writing with MIDI at about 20 years ago. And then maybe 18 years ago I moved over to audio from MIDI. So when you're thinking about why would I do this, it's a terrible idea, except I've got all this stuff and bands can't afford to pay for studio time.
Right.
They just can't. Most bands will drink it away, or they'll buy gear because they'll go into Guitar Center for strings, and then the guy tells them, oh yeah, you can record yourself, you just need to buy this. Oh, you want to be able to record 2 microphones at once? Okay, buy this and this. Oh, you want to be able to record drums? Buy this, and this. And it becomes a perpetuating cycle until you get here. So over the years, I've built a highly equipped studio. I'm running, this is 16 in, I can run 24 channels at once. And I can run to tape, I can run to digital, I can do everything. I can just kind of, it's all here completely. And occasionally, like, we borrowed Charlie lent us his Rhodes for Millicent's album. That happens, right? But I'm not having to scrounge up microphones, mic stands, cables to run 16 channels. Some of these Freeform Fridays videos, we've used the whole board. So I can do a large session, 2 drummers, large. 2 drummers, a piano, the whole thing. Horns. I can do that here, which is incredibly freeing because I don't charge the people on the artist, like the family members on the artist, I don't charge for the recording time. This is my contribution to the process. So, and that's why I get a cut, is for my contribution. So that's why I started it, because I would rather take on 10 good projects a year that I really truly believe in, work a day job, and make important music rather than what I was doing, which was taking anything I could get just because the rent on the space was due at the first of each month.
Yeah.
Right? I had to work on albums I had to work on albums I wouldn't even want to listen to. And I'm good, and I'm a pro, so when I did those albums, when I worked on those, I did the best I could, and I tried to realize the artist's vision, and blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, I wasn't passionate about working on people's music by the hour.
Yeah.
And day rate or anything, these one-offs and then my name's on it and it's gone. Like, I respect guys like Steve Albini who do that, and they do it at such a high volume. I think he's worked on over 2,000 albums now.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't remember every album that he's made.
Right.
I kind of like remembering each one.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm able to find the very promising stuff, the important stuff that ultimately needs to be recorded properly, because otherwise most musicians, they have an iPhone, GarageBand.
Sure.
It'll get done, but then they're going to post it on whatever and you're going to pass it over because it's not sufficiently high quality. So that's why I started the label, so I could help the audience cut through some of the noise, because I'm out looking for new stuff, cut through the noise, kind of curate a catalog for you,
Mm-hmm.
and then also help some musicians that don't necessarily have the means to record themselves properly,
Yeah.
and make very good records that way. And then hopefully we all get filthy, stinking rich.
Sure. That's the dream.
You know, but I mean, we're just trying to sell albums at $10 a piece. We just want to get. I'd rather 1 million people buy a $10 album than try to sell 10 people $1 million thing.
Yeah.
But that requires a certain degree of fame, and we have 244 subscribers. So really, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe. Right? We do a lot of this kind of stuff. We talk about how I run the model.
Mm-hmm.
And I do go into some production stuff. We're going to do production in the next Deep Thought. And then if I have it and somebody has a question on the gear, I'm always happy to answer. You know, I would like to see our comment section become a forum. So if you have music production questions or questions about the music industry, because we've both been in the industry now for like 15 years, 10 years.
In my case, approaching 20, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a perspective on it, and we're just trying to help you guys, the next generation, because we're kind of established. We've got our artists we like to work with. I'm always looking for new stuff, but I can only take on 10 projects a year. I can't just release everything. Though that may change. We may open up the manufacturing to others.
Maybe.
But we'll look into that. Right now we're focusing on building a good catalog that no matter what, it's going to be good, right? So hit subscribe, hit like, leave a comment, and let's move on. What's next?